Good afternoon. Today is the 19th of March and we're going to continue on our little theme for the week, which is TV series made in my lifetime. And today we're going to look at Dempsey and Makepeace, which was broadcast from 1985 to 1986. So the basic premise of Dempsey and Makepeace is that an American detective from New York has a problem with his partner on a stakeout, has to actually kill his partner because he's gone bent, he's gone corrupt, and he is reassigned a position in London for his own protection. The people in London, which is in this particular series a fictional branch of, I think it's Scotland Yard called C.A.T.S, don't really want him, but they have to put up with him. And he has a boss who's Welsh, played by Ray Smith, a character called Spikings. And his new partner is an aristocratic lady detective called Harriet Makepeace, played by a South African-born actress called Glynis Barber. Dempsey himself is played by Michael Brandon. The company who broadcast Dempsey and Makepeace were London Weekend Television, and they had, until 1983, been showing the professionals, although Mk2 Productions, which was an independent company, made professionals for LWT. They have very much had some direction in it and oversight of it. I have the same thing with Dempsey and Makepeace. It was made by a company called Golden Eagle Films, and many of the people who worked on professionals also worked at Dempsey and Makepeace, although, you know, people like Brian Clemens and Albert Fenn and Laurie Johnston, who you might have heard of, weren't anywhere to be seen. Dempsey and Makepeace is interesting enough. It's got some excellent music by a chap called Alan Parker. Not the same Alan Parker who directed the Vita, by the way. Alan Parker, who's a composer. A brilliant, brilliant theme tune, but I'm not going to sing on camera for various reasons. Some of the episodes are quite good. Some of them aren't very good. Some of it's pretty cheesy. Some of it's well made. It really depends on what your kind of thing is and what episode you're watching, really. So Ford, again, they were very keen to get their cars on camera in the 1980s in Britain, and they started off in the first series, Dempsey and Makepeace, by giving Makepeace a 1984 Ford Escort Mk2 Cabriolet 1.6 injection, and that registration number, as a Ford press car, was A643OWC. Like every car I'm going to mention on this list, unfortunately that's been scrapped, but it was a grey car with the front spotlights on it. Gordon Spikings, their boss, he had a 1984 Ford Granada Mark II 2.8 injection GL. No alloy wheels on that one. It's with wheel trims. It's quite an unusual specification. And then Dempsey himself, he didn't have a Ford. He had a bit more a glamorous car. He had a 1984 Mercedes 500 SL, which was white. The plate on it looks a bit like a Mercedes press plate, but everyone who's done a search for it, which is A882JLB, they can't find any check sites, so it might have just been mocked up to look a bit like a Mercedes press plate and not the real plate for the car. So in the third series, the first two were broadcast in 1985. The third series was broadcast in 1986. They all got new cars. Dempsey got a different Mercedes SL. We think it's a 70s model, late 70s model, because it doesn't have the front spoiler of the 1980 facelift SLs. Again, it wore the same plate as before, A882JLB, but that's definitely a fake plate, so no point in trying to find that on any sites. That's grey rather than white. Makepeace had another Ford Escort Mark III Cabriolet, It wasn't the Mark IV actually, because that didn't come out until '86. This is an '85, and it was white. It was C266HVW, which was almost the same numbering sequence as the car that was given to Spikings in the third series. It was a 1986 Ford Granada Mark III 2.8 injection GL, the C278 HVW. Unlike something like Bugs, that's really all there is to talk about in terms of cars for the main characters. There were some other Fords around. There were some Rover SD1s, police cars. Lots of those were very common police cars in the 1980s. And in fact, loads of those got destroyed, both sort of undercover cars and marked police cars. Other vehicles of note, it's an Opel Ascona, which you can see in the title sequence as Dempsey falls out of a boot. That was a 78 model, I think, is used in one episode. That got destroyed. There was also, in the last episode of all, there was a 1969 Daimler V8 250. That actually fell into a dock and got destroyed. I think they were pretty cheap at the time. They were classics, certainly, but they weren't expensive. So that's one of the more interesting cars that was there. Probably the most interesting vehicle of all was one of the episodes, I think it's in the third series. They had a 1961 Thornycroft Antar, which is a huge, big, massive tank carrier that was carrying a type of tank. I'm not here to talk about tanks and things like that, but just the size and this sort of scale of the Thornycroft Antar is amazing. I'm sure it would take up 2 lanes on a motorway. The company didn't exist by '85 when it was filmed, but it's nevertheless quite an impressive thing to see. Finally, there's a couple of Rolls Royces that get used, 70 sort of shadow models, and one of them gets written off. So we obviously had some budget in making Dempsey and Makepeace. So I hope you found that video interesting. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to leave a comment below and to like this video. My website is www.lloydvehicleconsulting.co.uk. My Facebook page is facebook.com/Lloyd Vehicle Consulting. And if you wish me to source a car for you, it doesn't have to be anything I've mentioned in this video, then I'd love to do that. Please do get in touch via the contact page on my website. And thank you very much indeed once again for watching.